Our first blue creature is Aerial Guide. Hey, look, another flyer. It's a 2/3, it's 2 and a blue for a 2/2 Drake at common. So Drakes fly, sure. Whenever Aerial Guide attacks, another target attacking creature gains flying until end of turn. So, yeah, I guess that's a fairly decent clause. I mean, I'm going to play a 2/2 flyer for 3 most times. And, if you chain these together, then you can just give your whole board flying.
My white-blue flyers draft deck dream is alive. I think this is great because, yeah, you can lift your biggest non-flyer off the ground and essentially throw it at their face.
So this reminds me a little bit of Eddy Trail Hawk from Kaladesh, in that it was a 1/2 that you had to pay energy to give something flying, and that was okay, like that was replaceable. But this, you just have to attack and give any attacker flying.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be a human like the thing from Theros. It doesn't have to pay energy like Eddy Trail Hawk. It just does it. So that seems really quite decent. I'm probably going to pick this highly because a 2/2 for 3 flyer is generally about replacement level or better.
I tend to always pick flyers probably higher than I should. I'm a big fan of evasion. My experience has quite frequently been people can deal with the first and second flyer, but when you get into your 4th and 5th and 6th, they're like,
how many pieces of removal do you have in a random deck?
Exactly.
Right?
So I am a big, huge grab all the flyers fan, and this one has a not terrible, in fact, probably pretty darn good.
If this comes around late, I'm going to take it as a signal.
That blue's open, yeah.
If it comes around early, I'm probably going to pick it up. First pick, no, but...
No.
Mid-pack. All right. Even Reed Stalker. 3 and a blue for a 2/3 flash flyer. It's a bird warrior at common. So... It's a little weird because it doesn't look like it's flying. It looks like it's running.
Yeah, but it has wings.
It does, and birds fly, so, you know.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. So what do we think of a 2/3 flash flyer for 4?
I like it, I think, better than maybe I should, mostly because it has the bigger bum than power. So if you're flashing this in on the blocks, it may win combat.
It may actually survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, initially when I saw it, I'm like, why isn't this a 3/2? Because I'm used to those being 3/2s. But I'm thinking 2/3 might actually be better here. I think you're onto something. I still don't know how high I would pick it. I'd probably grab it on the wheel or low in the pack. Like, it's not something that impresses me.
This is what's going to fill out my flyer deck.
Okay. All right. What if it were a 1/3 flash flying for 3? No, that seems even worse. So,
That's
never
not
mind.
Good. Yeah. Next.
Yeah, I'm not impressed.
It's fine.
Cunning Survivor. 1 and a blue for a 1/3. Hey, look, a 1/3. Human warrior at common. Whenever you cycle or discard a card, Cunning Survivor gets +1/+0 until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn.
So for me, a 1/3/4/2 is meh.
Yeah. Similarly, +1/+0 and can't be blocked this turn seems really weird. Like, I'm going to cycle pre-combat, so you can't block this. Isn't really what I want?
No. Do we know how much cycling or discard there is in overall?
There's quite a bit. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, a bunch of cards that cycle, plus a cycle of lands. And there are a few cards that care about discarding or give you the ability to discard, as we'll get to. So the ability will trigger reasonably often, but also there's not a huge incentive to actually cycle these cards over playing them unless you have something that cares. And this one isn't giving me enough incentive.
For me, I think this goes into the deck where you are trying to get stuff into the graveyard, so it's kind of a added bonus for something you'd be doing anyway.
This is kind of a replacement for Heckma Sentinels, and it's just not as good.
Yeah.
And I didn't play them all that often anyway.
Yeah.
So this is going to be... It's honestly not going to make my deck very often.
Yeah.
Eternal of Harsh Truths. This guy, on the other hand, I like quite a bit. 2 and a blue for an uncommon zombie cleric. He looks so cool. He's a 1/3. And when he is attacks and isn't blocked, you draw a card. When he's attacked and is when he attacks and is blocked, he's got one of the new mechanics of the set, Afflict. In this case, Afflict 2. Whenever this creature becomes blocked, defending player loses 2 life. Now, this is the big mechanic that people are saying, oh, great, this set's going to be even more aggressive. Because it disincentivizes you from blocking. But, as we're going to see, a lot of the Afflict creatures have low toughness. So, even if they are disincentivizing you from blocking them, most of the time you're going to be able to block and kill them. So they'll get, sure, a little damage through, but it doesn't look like it's going to be impossible to deal with. In this guy's case, he's a 1/3 that draws you a card, or a 2/3 that automatically hits you.
If you don't block this, you're taking 3.
No.
You're taking 1 from the power, and then they also lose 2 life.
That's only if it's blocked.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, fair enough. Derp.
You're either dealing 1 to your opponent and drawing a card, or dealing 2 to your opponent and 1 to an opponent's creature. So, let's say they have a bunch of X1s. This is going to kill something and deal 2 to you.
Where are you getting the 1 to your opponent's creature?
Because it deals its power to... If it's blocked, it's dealing damage to whatever it's blocking. Or it's blocked by.
Right. Oh, boy.
I know. It's confusing,
I'm tired.
right?
Wow.
So, it's either dealing 3 damage if it's blocked, but that's broken up, or it's dealing 1 damage and you draw a card.
People are going to have to make choices.
This seems like a really fun card to play around with. It seems like a really difficult card to assess combat with, because, again, imagine this with combat tricks.
Yep.
You get to remove an opponent's creature, and they're still taking 2, if you have some way of pumping this guy's power. You know? I don't know. I think I'm going to pick it high just to play with it. It could be that it's not as good as it looks, but for the start of the format, I'm going to pick it... No, you know, I'm still only going to pick it middle of the pack. It's not unbeatable, and it's not like it's driving a whole bunch of power through. And at 3 toughness, there are still things that will kill it. But it seems like the kind of card I'm going to want.
Yeah.
Ominous Sphinx is 3 blue for a 4/4 flyer. It's a Sphinx at uncommon.
With gorgeous art.
Yep, absolutely. It's, look at how blue I am.
Yep.
Whenever you cycle or discard a card, target creature an opponent controls gets -2/-0 until end of turn.
So this is the 5-drop I want in my flyer deck, because he makes blocking decisions tough.
Yeah.
Because he either takes the fangs out of, you know, their 4/4 and you win, you lose, or you keep your creature, they lose their creature. Or you just get in for 4. I think it's really sweet.
Yeah.
The 4/4 for 5 is great.
Yeah, 4/4 for 5 as opposed to a 4/4 for 6 is absolutely fine. A 3/3 for 5 is, as we said earlier, playable, but this is just a little bit above that. So I'm probably going to pick this guy highly. He'd be a shoo-in for first pick if the rare wasn't exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I want him more than... I would certainly pick him over that angel we saw at the beginning. Not the bonkers one.
The first one that we saw. The
4/4 for 6. Yeah, absolutely. He's just really, really solid.
Proven Combatant. Blue for a 1/1. Well, that's not very exciting. He's a common human warrior, by the way. Oh, so common. But he does have Eternalize, which means he can become a 4/4 from your graveyard for 6.
Blech. Moving on.
4 blue.
I'm never...
There are so many better cards than this.
Spoilers, but there are not a lot of cards in this set that I'm like, I'm just not drafting that card. But this is one of the ones that I'm not drafting it unless I absolutely have to or it's given to me, but it's not making my deck, I don't think.
If I have a good reason to want to be aggressive and then push through or have some reach for later in the game, then maybe, but that's not usually where blue even wants to be.
I was going to say, if I'm in blue, that's not what I'm doing. So.
Yeah, this is just unplayable.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah. And yes, we know about the Slitherblade comparison, but no, this is just unplayable.
It's not.
I mean, this can be blocked.
Yeah.
Seer of the Last Tomorrow. Well, that sounds ominous. 2 and a blue for a 1/4 Naga Cleric at common. So 2 and a blue for a 1/4. But the ability, blue, tap, and discard a card. Target player puts the top 3 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard.
Yeah, if you're looking for some way to get stuff into your graveyard, sure.
Yeah, rather than trying to mill your opponent. Which is...
but then you're throwing 4 things into your graveyard here, so I don't know.
Yeah. So this is like completely the opposite of how blue seemed to operate in the last set.
Now, what I could see you doing, and I mean you specifically, I could see you drafting all of these, all of the blue, Wally type big things, and then trying to build a mill deck to mill your opponent out, just because it seems like a funny thing to do.
The next time I'm going to try mill, it's got to be like Tome Scour or bust. I don't know. Blue started off really strong and then petered right off. So this is, again, unplayable, I think. If it were 2 mana, I'd consider it just on creature stats, but no, this seems unplayable to me.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it either.
Sinuous Striker. We have a 2/2 Naga Warrior at uncommon for 2 and a blue. So that's mediocre stats. Its ability, blue, Sinuous Striker gets +1, -1 until end of turn. So it becomes a 3/1. Eternalize. So it will be a 4/4 for 3 blue and discarding a card. I don't know, man. So even the Eternalized version is 5 mana for a 4/4 that you can then pay a bunch of blue to turn into at most a 7/1 with no evasion and a lot of mana requirement.
It doesn't seem like it deserves its uncommon rating. It feels like
I think it. I prefer it be uncommon. I don't want.
Me too. I don't want 1,200 of them. Yeah, I'm not that excited about this either.
So yeah, I don't know. This is probably playable, but it's below replacement level. I'm gonna look for something else. So yeah, not a fan. Spell Weaver Eternal, 2 and a blue for a 2/1 Zombie Naga Wizard at common. Hey, it's got prowess. Hey, it's got afflict. Okay, that's a lot to unpack. So we've got a piker, which is on the surface just fine. 2-1 for 2.
Feels very red.
Kinda.
Especially with the prowess. Although I know prowess is in blue. But
prowess is the blue-red kind of mechanic. This does feel like it should be a red card. So it's got prowess, which means it could be a 3-2 on the attack. And if it is blocked, then the opponent is losing 2 anyway. So there's some incentive to not block that, but I think I'm just blocking like every single time this gets thrown at me.
Sure.
I just want it gone.
But as for if you're playing it, you get the added bonus of not only probably trading with their creature, but you get a sweet little 2 off their life total too. So I think it's not too bad.
Yeah, alright.
Blue is where you're going to find the most use of prowess probably anyway.
Yeah.
But even at that, you know, a 2-1 trades with another 2-2.
This seems like a very aggressive creature, and blue is not an aggressive color, so...
not generally, which is what's really odd, right?
And normally you'd want to be attacking in the air in blue, so I don't know. This just feels weird. I'll pick them up late. I'm not going to look for them.
No.
I'm not going to be excited about grabbing them.
No.
So, mid to late pack, I guess. Striped River Winder.
Weird art.
Yeah, this doesn't feel like other Magic art.
It feels very... it feels like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon.
A little bit.
It's kind of cartoony.
It's that the creature doesn't look like it belongs in the background. It is 6 in a blue for a 5/5 serpent at common with hexproof. Doesn't that feel green to you?
What does the last line of my thing say?
Feels kind of green, yeah.
This is the one I was talking to you about yesterday. I'm like, there's a handful of cards that feel like they've been color shifted.
I mean, sure, it's a serpent, but normally serpents come with a downside, a can't attack.
Now here, well, no, it's hexproof, so that's why it's the extra 2 mana. I was going to say, you know, usually you get a 5/5 for 5 in green, so there's the downside, but no, you get hexproof, and it cycles for 1.
For a single blue.
He seems really good at common.
I don't know about how... Ooh, ominous thunder. I don't know how good it seems. Like, it is 7 mana. So if the format is as aggressive as Amonkhet was, then this isn't going to be very playable at all. If my favorite Greatest Sandworm was not a good card, then this is also not going to be a good card. But if things are slowing down, then this could find its place.
And cycling for 1 blue is pretty nice.
Now, it feels like this should have Shroud. I know they don't do that anymore, but hexproof just seems like too much of a benefit. You know? I don't know. Where would you pick this? Late pack?
This is, you know, last couple of picks pick up, unless we find out that it's going to be pretty grindy. Because there's other things I personally want to do when I'm running blue in my deck. But I still think that if it's slow, this could be really good.
It does feel like it could be a control finisher. Although there's no evasion, it's just sort of a big 5/5.
The other thing to think about is color pairings. If we're looking at seeing this in green, if Simic winds up being a strong color pairing, then you may wind up with the ramp you need to be playing a 7-drop 5/5 hexproof creature earlier.
Now, I'm looking over my power and toughnesses, and this is one of the largest things in the set, especially at common or uncommon. Even green doesn't get much bigger than this, so that's interesting.
Could be relevant.
Alright, moving along. Vizier of the Anointed. 3 and a blue for a human cleric at uncommon. It's a 2/4. 2/4 for 4, so it's a giant spider with outreach.
Yeah, it's okay-ish.
Alright, so what's the ability? When Vizier of the Anointed enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a creature card with Eternalize or Embalm. Put that card into your graveyard.
Oh, baby.
Then shuffle your library. And then whenever you activate an Eternalize or Embalm ability, draw a card.
I heart this guy a little bit. I think it's going to be not hard to find some Embalm stuff that you're going to want and get some value off of this.
So how does this rate against, let's say, Naga Oracle, which is the thing that this most reminds me of?
Well, this one you're actively putting something in a place where you should be able to get it. Like, it's...
So it's almost like drawing 2 cards.
Sort of, yeah.
Because you're going to put the Embalm creature in your graveyard, and then when you embalm it, you draw a card.
Yeah.
That does seem pretty good.
So it's just another reason for me to be pairing my blue with white. There's some pretty sweet embalmy and eternalized creatures in white that we've seen so far.
Yeah, yeah.
You throw that, I mean, of course, you live in the dream here.
You're going to want some good ones.
For sure, and I mean, I'm living in Christmas land and saying, the cat! Grab the cat, throw it into the bin, and pull it back.
So it seems like an Embalm or Eternalized card isn't going to be hard to find, but we really want a good one if we're going to play this. So it's the kind of thing where I'm not just going to grab this and then look for any old Embalm thing, but if I've got something already that I want to Eternalize or Embalm, then I will pick this up and be happy. So late pack pickup?
I'm still probably going to speculate on it a little earlier than that, because it's a 2/4. In blue, I'm probably going to want a few things with slightly larger backsides anyway.
Okay.
So, and then if I can make this work and get some card draw, or get my Eternalize or whatever creature out.
Mid-pack to you, then?
Probably, if I'm already in blue.
Alright. Our first rare now. Champion of Wits. 2 and a blue for a Naga Wizard, and it's a 2/1. So a 2/1 for 3. When Champion of Wits enters the battlefield, you may draw cards equal to its power. If you do, discard 2 cards. So when you play it, you get card selection, which is not nothing. Now when you Eternalize it for 5 blue, 7 mana, you draw 2 cards, basically. You draw 4, and then you pitch 2. So you've got card selection. It digs you reasonably deep in your library, and then you get to keep the ones that you really want. That seems good if you get to 7 mana.
Yeah, that's just it. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just thinking the kind of deck that wants to get to 7 mana does not really want a 2/1 for 3.
No, this would just be a creature that enables your other shenanigans.
Yeah.
This, I guess, probably won in a grindy kind of deck where you're trying to get things in order.
But those decks you don't really want a 2/1 for 3.
But I'm not looking at the 2/1 for 3. I'm looking at the ability to pilfer through my cards.
So you're looking at it as a...
draw 2, discard 2.
Yeah.
And then maybe. But, I mean, I say that, but chances are I'm never going to play this because I can't imagine the format being slow enough to want a 7-drop for the sake of drawing 2 cards and a 4/4.
I don't know. This is the kind of card that I like, but I don't know if there's a place for it. So I'm probably going to first pick it and speculate the first time I see it because I'm curious. But I can't imagine this being great.
Yeah.
I mean, if the format does slow down, which I think it's going to, then it is just good.
Fair enough.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not first picking it.
And I'm first picking just because I want to try things like that.
Yep.
You don't like blue anyway.
I do like blue flyers.
Well, this doesn't...
And let me tell you, what I've learned from Amonkhet is blue is fun. It's taught me new things.
It has. All right. Nimble Obstructionist. Oh, I love this card. 2 and a blue for a 3/1 Bird Wizard with flying. It also has Flash. So a 3/1 Flash Flyer for for 3 seems good. That's counterspell mana. You know, that's your opponent thinks that you're holding up a counter, so they don't play something, and then you flash this end of turn. Or if you flash it in just to block and trade, that's also fine. But it also has an ability, cycling for 2 and a blue, so the same cost. But when you cycle it, counter target activated or triggered ability you don't control.
Oh boy.
So you get to stifle something. And draw a card.
Yeah, for 3.
Now, in limited, that's going to be of limited usefulness. I mean, maybe you get someone who's eternalizing something. Because that is an activated ability.
And to me, that's what I'd be looking at it for. Because there is going to be a fair amount of that running around. So, but even if, you know, even if you don't use it for that, you're still getting a 3/1 for 3 with flash.
Yep.
So this is just all upside.
This seems like a really good card. I would definitely first pick it. The cycle ability isn't going to matter as much, I think, as the flash flyer, but it still seems great.
Oh yeah,
So,
I'm first picking this all over the place.
Yep. And finally in blue, we have Esch Sphinx Sovereign. I had to say that in my head before I said it out loud. 4 blue for a 4/4 flyer. Legendary Sphinx. So what do we think about 4 flyers for 6?
Yeah, it's fine.
We already said it wasn't great.
It's meh. It's
but,
fine.
But wait, it's a mythic, so of course it does stuff. Sphinx spells you cast cost 2 less to cast.
Not including him.
Not including him. Well, I mean, if you have another one of him, then you legend rule yourself and just, you know, that's not great. Then
they take away your DCI number and tell you you're a bad magic player.
Whenever Esch Sphinx Sovereign or another Sphinx enters the battlefield under your control, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. An opponent separates those into 2 piles. Put 1 pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. So I can never remember which is which, but this is one of those... I can't even think of the name of the cards. It's, you know, draw a bunch and then sort them into piles and you pick one. So it's arguable whether you make the piles or you pick the pile is better, but either way, you're drawing cards off this thing. So how do we feel about a 4/4 flyer for 6 that draws you 2 cards? Or, yeah, 2 cards.
Seems okay. Becomes better if you have more Sphinx in your deck.
So I'm definitely first picking this thing, and then I'm definitely taking other Sphinxes.
Yep.
And then I'm definitely going to try to build around not getting this guy into play and having to pay full price for my Sphinxes, just in case. But if you do get him into play and then cast your, you know, what was the other? It was a 4/4 for 5.
Something like
Suddenly
that.
It's a 4/4 for 3 that draws you 2 cards. That seems real good.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely first picking this.
Yep.
And that's it for blue. What did we think of blue?
It crested and waned.
Yeah. I mean, blue is not really the creature color. In fact, it's the opposite of that. So some of the creatures are better and some of the creatures are worse.
Yeah, we'll have to see where blue sits with the non-creature spells. It may make up for it there.
Its rares are really good. So if we end up finding non-creature spells at common and uncommon that are good, then maybe this will be more of a force.
And so far it seems to be doing what blue has been doing a lot. It's going to be a fine support color. Like, you pair this with white and you've got some really sweet flyers to go with your deck. It's got a couple of other things that work well with white, or maybe green. So I guess we'll see.
If blue-green became a real deck, I would be very happy, because in Amonkhet it just didn't seem to get there. All right, on to red.